Hi there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name's Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to prog music, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock in the rock genre. Today we are doing, excitingly, I'm doing a new video set that I've wanted to do for a while, but for some reason I put it off. I'm not sure why. Anyways, it's called The Live Experience, and today we'll be talking about a live album. And the one I've chosen to start with is none other than this one, Live at Leeds from The Who. Maybe the greatest live band of all time. Certainly one of my favorites. Anyways, today we're going to talk about this album. And to start off, we're just going to I'll just tell you about the statistics. The album was released on May the 23rd, 1970. The venue was the University of Leeds Reflectory in Leeds, UK, in the United Kingdom. The length of the album is this particular one's like about 37:42. There's different versions of this album, and I'll get into that shortly. It was produced by John Astley and Kit Lambert and The Who. The original album had 6 tracks, and the particular one that I have, the version I have of it, has 14 tracks on it, and there's others that have even more. Some of them are like a couple hours now. And it features, of course, The Who, which is Roger Daltrey vocals, and he plays harmonica on this as well. Pete Townsend guitar and vocals, and does do some lead vocals and background vocals as well. John Entwistle is bass and does some lead vocals and background vocals as well on this particular album. And Keith Moon is the drummer and does some backing vocals. And he actually does a bit of a lead bit on one particular song. And I'll tell you about that when we get to it. Okay, so anyways, the thing about this album is that it was originally a live album that they produced. And they put this kind of cardboardish cover on it, put a stamp on it to try and kind of, I guess, sell it as a bootleg album. So people thought they were getting something that was unknown by anybody, but they actually produced it and did it themselves. A very good album, maybe the best live album, one of the best live albums for certain. Top 5, I think. Anyways, the original tracks, I'm just going to go through this. I think, oh man, I'm not remembering too well. There was 6. My Generation and the Magic Bus were the last 2. I knew that for certain. And then I think it started with Substitute, Happy Jack, I'm a Boy. And there may have been one before that was on the original. I can't explain. I think that they might have been the 6 original tracks on the album. That were released on the album. I mean, obviously, a lot of these tracks, they did a whole bunch of tracks, and they only released these 6, but now they've since added the rest of the tracks. On my particular version of the album, which I got in, I just want to look, I got in 1995, there were 14 tracks on this classic rock album, many of really good stuff. And then they've done other releases since then where they've released all these tracks plus the entire Tommy album and a few other tracks as well. So, great live album. And The Who, unlike, there are some bands that are good studio album bands. Not that The Who are bad studio album bands. But there's some bands that just, you can't really capture the experience of the band or know why the band is so popular unless you see them live or hear them live. Seeing them is a much broader experience, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about today. So for myself, I started out going to rock concerts. I'm not quite sure what year it was. It was either the late 70s or the early 80s. And I went to concerts till roughly about 84, I think. I'm trying to remember when that. I think the last concert I went to was a Dio concert at Massey Hall in Toronto, which had Metallica and Anvil on on the other part of the card. I think that might have been the last album I went to. Although I did do one in 1990 in New Zealand. I went to see Elton John because that's what everybody was doing that night when I was there. But I stopped going to rock concerts probably after the Dio concert, although I had told myself that if I had the same experience, I wasn't going to go anymore. The problem I had wasn't the music, or the concerts were fantastic. Music was great. But what happened after the Black Sabbath concert that I went to back in 81, 82, I had 3 days of serious ringing in my ears, which kind of scared me a bit. Not that I hadn't had ringing in my ears from other concerts, I did, but this one just seemed to not be going away. And then eventually went down, and I went to the Dio concert, and during that concert I had the same kind of effect for a couple days. Only this time I got a clicking in my ear, which has persisted up until today. Every once in a while I'll be listening to something and I'll start getting this clicking in my ear. I'm not really sure what it is. I never really got it examined, but I certainly developed a concern about my hearing. I don't want to lose my hearing because I love listening to music. Can't listen to music if you got no hearing. So I decided at that point, maybe prematurely, I'm not sure, not to go to any more live rock concerts. And part of the problem wasn't just the live rock concerts, just that every stereo system, every car system, every system that had music to play, I only had one volume for it, and that was the top volume. Whatever the maximum volume was, that was the one I was playing. And I did that all the time. And I did that with headphones, I did that with everything. So consequently, I may have damaged my hearing slightly, or at least put myself in a position to get damaged hearing. So I decided at that point, and I would tone it down. And since that time, there's a rare occasion where I like it really loud, but pretty much I choose a volume that is comfortable to listen to, and I don't go beyond it. And it's unfortunate because certainly with heavy metal, loud is better. Trust me. So I got to a point where I had been listening to a lot of heavy metal and hard rock and progressive rock at the same time, and I tended to be more towards heavy metal and progressive rock than progressive rock. But after that point, because I had toned it down a bit, the heavy metal kind of started to slide a bit, and I started to become more interested in progressive rock. And that's how this all became about, right? That's how the progressive part of me came about. And so anyways, I just wanted to let you know that my experience with live music pretty much is predominantly now with videos and these live albums, which I still appreciate quite a bit. But the concert stuff, I think I may have went to a couple of bar concerts in the time period since then, but anytime it started getting too loud, or I started feeling like it was too loud, I would just leave, and that's just unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Okay, anyways, we're here now to talk about my history, but I had to explain that because, some people might say, well, what concerts have you been to? What have you done? Well, I haven't been to too many. Some of the ones I have been to were great, but I haven't been to too many in recent years at all. So now my live stuff basically comes from videos and from these discs. So anyways, this album is a fantastic album. My particular copy starts out with Heaven and Hell, the John Entwistle song. Great song. Pounding right from the start, like beefy. John Entwistle's great on it. Fantastic song. I Can't Explain, another great song. Probably one of my favorite Who songs. Pete's really good on the guitar on this. It's just a fantastic riff. Fortune Teller. I'm not as keen on that song, but not a bad song. Tattoo. Pretty good. Young Man Blues I like quite a bit. That's a song. Some beefy guitars. The drums are predominant in here, as they are in a lot of the Who songs. Keith Moon is an exceptional drummer. Substitute, another great song that I've liked over the history of my listening to the Who. Happy Jack, which is one of those great tracks that I love to sing. This song always gets me up on the floor. The funny thing about the Who that I really like is that it's a short period of time when I've got this album on the CD player or on the television set that I'm not air guitar right away. It just comes right out, you know. I just love it, or air drums, you know, one of the two. It just gets me going every time. It's a Boy, another classic Who track, maybe not as known as well as some of the others, but certainly one of their best, I think. Quick One While He's Away. This is a kind of a humorous song on the album, and there's a lot of bantering back and forth between, certainly between Pete and Keith, anyways, and just you can really feel the charged energy and the love for playing music that these guys have on that song. The Amazing Journey, which they took from the Tommy album, that's the first one on here, really good. Summertime Blues, the Eddie Cochran special. They do such a wonderful version of this song, so heavy and so pounding, so much energy. Shaking All Over, which is a classic song, one of the first Who songs I probably ever heard. I think it goes back to when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I heard this. My cousin had this song on a 45. He had a bunch of 45s, and this was one of the songs on it. And I just, you know, he would play his 45s. I said, "Oh, can you play that Shaking All Over thing again? I love that." And that's when the first time I heard the name The Who, because he said, "Yeah, this is a song by The Who." I was like, wow, I never heard of these guys before. And then there's, of course, My Generation, which is the long track on here. Lots of soloing and riffing and drumming and just all kinds of stuff. Like it's a jam session, basically. Fantastic. And then, of course, it ends off with The Magic Bus, which is, to me, one of the songs that is a poster boy for The Who, for at least for the 60s anyways. Tremendous song. You know, from top to bottom, this album is a classic. You really get that sense of energy from the album. The only thing better than this live album would be actually to go see The Who live, which I had a chance to do in 1981, but I didn't go. And I actually don't regret it, because that was the show that a couple people were killed at the front because it was a general admission. They were crushed against the stage in the heat in Toronto in 1981, and middle of the summer. Yeah, not a good scene. General admission to see The Who, that's got to be crazy, to say the least. Anyways, I almost went and I didn't go, so maybe it was for the better. Anyways, I've seen them quite a bit on the videos I have. I have a couple of really good videos, which I will do some video on at some point as well. But tremendous live band. This album kind of captures that energy that you don't get as much on their studio albums. Still, great album. Anyways, if you were looking to start out your live collection, well, you can't go wrong with this album. Live at Leeds by The Who. So that's it for my new set of videos, the live experience. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you would like to see me do more. Please make some comments if you want. I'd love to hear what your favorite live albums are. Any suggestions for me on live albums that possibly I might not know about, that would be great as well. And hit the like at the bottom and subscribe if you want me to do more stuff like this. So there you have it. Live at Leeds by The Who. This is Prog Monster. You have a good day. Take care.